Welcome back, everybody. You just heard a taste of War Songs, an album of remixed league anthems to accompany your climb to the top of the 2016 ranked season. And the entire album is now available for free on all major platforms starting today and can be downloaded right now at leagueoflegends.com. Is it your jam, Deficio?
Last song, no, I would say, but I think the other songs have been very, very good.
Yeah, really good things to jam to. But on to the match at hand between the new kids on the block, Splice, and the Unicorns of Love. Let's start by taking a look at that lineup for Splice. Within the top lane, Wonderwear. Then we have Trashy, Sencooks, Kabi, Nisbet, and Yamato Cannon, a team that qualified for the LCS at Dignitas EU after beating Mousesports, then sold to Fallow Esports, then rebranded as Splice. Could be a dark horse.
Could be a dark horse, but you know, they had a lot of roster swaps to begin. Well, I say a lot. They had a roster swap and a lot of support staff.
What are they doing?
They did change up their support staff a fair amount with that transfer, so there have been changes. Trashy joins in the jungle, Yamato joins as coach.
Yeah, so Trashy obviously was an NA playing. I think he did okay. I think it was a bit of a Gamsu case where you have clearly a good player who's just never really finding his footing because maybe the team environment doesn't work for him or the team isn't good enough to set him up properly. Obviously, I'm not expecting the same kind of performance from Trashy compared to Gamsu earlier today. Also, Yamato Cannon coming in, fairly high-profile coach, honestly, and has shown in the past that he's very good, especially in pick and bans.
Yeah, for me, this is my underdog team. I really think they can perform in the LCS, and they can really bounce into this one strong. Specifically, the solo laners, Sencooks, Wonderwear showed exceptional things in EU CS, and also their macro play was incredible. However, that was against Challenger Series teams, so we'll have to see how that stacks up now. Additionally, with Yamato, what he's brought to the team, maybe he's changed that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think the playstyle of the team, they were defined by Sencooks in that mid lane. Kobe was a good solid AD carry base, but certainly a lot of it was about getting Sencooks to carry. Can they do that in the LCS? That is what we have to see with time.
We will see, and from a dark horse to a pink horse, because their first chance to prove themselves will be against the Unicorns of Love, who return with some changes to their roster as well. Vizichachi, Diamond Prox, Fox, Steelback, Hylissang, and Sheepy. So, as said, last year's dark horse, they had two top four finishes in the EOL CS, and we kept saying they are not improving, even though they did have the spots to prove that they were obviously not a terrible team, but that strong rise never really came.
It's really weird when you look at a team who ended number 2 and then number 4 in the EOL CS, and you still think to yourself, they weren't even that great of a team. Again, because we didn't see that consistency, we didn't see the improvement, we didn't really see anything new other than crazy picks coming in from the Unicorns of Love, and that has to be fixed. But I'm not sure if changing the players will do that, because we still know like what is around this team and what do they want to do with these players.
Well, not all of the changes might have been intended, of course. We do know they no longer have Power Evil. Now Fox is in there. Something that is still there is Hylissang, who we know has also been inconsistent, but when he was on point, he really tried to put his team on his back.
Yeah, I almost feel like the Unicorns of Love have lost a lot of their identity, talking about like the crazy picks. They don't really have like Power of Evil anymore. But then you look at Hylissang as well. He is one of the core members of that team, along with Chachi. And if you are going to keep this team together, it's going to be built around Hylissang.
And he's also one of these guys who can make some of those unexpected plays. We know Hylissang, he loves to leave his lane, go back and buy Moby Boots and like rush the top lane and set up a fairly unexpected gank from himself. Again, it works once and then it fails the second and the third time. And that's been a problem for Unicorns.
That was such a big problem, but I think they have been given a boost now in the jungle, in the AD carry role after the changes.
So I do want to challenge that. A boost in the jungle?
I would
Diamond
say so.
in Legacy, yes, but if you compare him directly to the influence that Kikis had for most in the season of Unicorns of Love, I'm not so sure.
I would somewhat agree on Kikis, but then you look at the end of the split. Kikis left. I think the Unicorns fans had to just go through that. Gilius came in for a week, then Horo, and it was unsteady. But the real question now is not the jungle role. The question now is who will fill the carry void for this team. Because to put it in perspective, Power of Evil as a mid laner was ranked 2nd for damage for all mid laners throughout the league. They've replaced him with Fox, who is 9th in damage. That's 6% of their damage has been lost now by Power of Evil leaving. They have very similar stats, Power and Fox, when it comes to kill participation, kill share. But now either Steelback or Fox has to step up and fill that void of damage that is going to be lost from the departure.
The two players you mentioned are players when they were playing on SK Gaming and Fnatic. We looked at and said, these guys are fine players. They will do what is, I guess, expected of them, but they will never really surprise you. They will never stand out and be like, this guy is carrying his team right now. It was one of the big issues, especially for SK Gaming, because they ran a double carry setup, because Freddy was always playing tanks in the top lane, and they just didn't have enough damage because these carries couldn't pull enough of the weight. That needs to change, because Unicorns of Love cannot rely on like Visichachi every game getting super fed on some sort of carry, because he will most likely play a lot of tanks up in that top lane.
Yeah, we will see if that happens. We did think that that might happen for Fnatic as well, yet they decided to go for something more carry-oriented in the top lane. What is the key to unlocking the matchup here from the side of Splice? I'm definitely looking at them as trying to get a good start out of the gate for a dark horse for us.
Yeah, for me, it's the solo lanes, like I mentioned before. Senkox can potentially go huge. We were talking about this in Challenger Series. Senkox is the type of player who likes the 10% chance of just going massive. He will always make those highlight reel plays. With Yamato, this may be wrong, but he strikes me as the type of guy who likes a clean game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's going to be a conflict of style there.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, because this is a discussion we've had a couple of times. That I've gone back and forth on this. Generally, I would fall on the sentiment that I think Yamato's coaching style has a slight clash of styles with how the former Team Dignitas team, as we knew them through summer, used to play. However, the thing you have to really take into account is their age, which is something we don't normally talk about too much, but this is the first eligible split for Wonderwear and Senkox to actually be on this stage. Not only does that kind of conflict with a coaching style, now 17-year-olds have got to have a coach that's kind of manipulating or working with how
Just
they're
turned
working.
20, I think.
Just
Otto,
turned 20.
so
He's
hey,
young
3-year
himself.
difference.
I just wonder, is he going to get kind of dragged into the joking, the meme fest?
It's like getting coached
Maybe.
by Pulse, actually.
I can't think
That
of
would
a
be
worse
dang,
thing.
dude.
Yamato kind of might like a clean style. To me, that doesn't mean you have to play
Sure.
control mages. You can play like Ari and LeBlanc and so on. I think what he wants is consistency. Again, I keep mentioning that over and over and over, but I think that's what he always talks about. And we've seen now Graves Jungle make quite an impact. In Europe today, he won both his games, and both games he was paired with Ari in the mid lane. And that means that the skirmish you have together as those two guys is extremely strong. Also, Ari tends to be able to, at least against Ryze as the matchup we've seen, have control in that lane, enable Graves then to invade in. And to me, that sets up a clean game, because both G2 and H2K, they played aggressive junglers, aggressive mid laners, but they had clean games and almost gave nothing away. It took all the towers, took the Baron, whatever. There were never really any chance for Elements or Giants to do anything. So that was very clean games for me, and I think Splice can do the same, or look to do the same.
And what goes in complement to that is Senkox champion pool. Is not only does he play Victor very well as a control mage, that is one of the champions he spammed throughout summer. Ari is in his champion pool. Azir is there. Just these very heavy carry champions. Some of them are control mages. Some of them just love to snowball. So he does have that versatile kit. Can they unlock that on the rest of the map is my big question.
We'll see. I do hear that the players are still not ready on stage, but we are getting to that as fast as possible. You had a point, or were you just fiddling with it?
I just like touching my knee. That's basically it. But I can bring up a point. It's fine. There is a player you mentioned earlier yourself. Is Diamond Pro.
I was going to bring it up myself,
Awesome.
actually.
Hey, there we go. Diamond Prox. Last year, it was very strange, because this used to be the guy who invented counter jungling and all that stuff and yada 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 a few years ago.
Those little things.
Big things, obviously. Like, fantastic legacy player. But last year, he became basically a warding machine. He had the lowest impact of any jungler in the early game. All he would do, honestly, was put down a ton of wards, often more than like any other jungler would do, and he would like set up Kapasha to carry by applying vision, and then like staying nearby saying, if someone ganks you, I'm here, don't worry, the counter gang is ready, and Kapasha could then play super aggressive. That style should not fit with Unicorns of Love, because Visichachi is a very different player compared to Kapasha. Kapasha is more the all-in aggressive type. Chachi is more all-round player.
Yeah, well, I do hear that the players are ready, so we're going to see what they can bring. Let's head inside and get into that game.
Thank you very much, Shox. We are just about ready to get started between Splice and Unicorns of Love. But, Krepo, I feel like this is a matchup that, just like the first one, should be very, very close in terms of how competitive these two teams are at the moment.
Yeah, just a lot of question marks. I just want to jump on what Deficio was talking about there, how much Diamond Prox was warding. We actually did some research there about, we managed to track how close the jungler was in the early game to their laners, and how much time they spent within 2,000 range of any of their laners in total. We tracked that, ranked that for all the junglers in the European LCS in summer. Diamond Prox ranked dead last, and not even like close to the 9th place. He was dead last by a significant margin. That means he spent barely any times within interaction range of any of his laners. Combine that with a very poor kill participation from 3 minutes to 56%. He was basically doing nothing in the early game, and that has to change because Diamond Prox was one time the best jungler in the world, innovating, changing the meta on himself. And last season rather, he was just a shade of his former self.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a new team. This is a new split, a whole new season. We'll have to see if he's able to make that happen. This is the first time he's been out of the Gambit Moscow 5 uniform era, pretty much. So it's a chance for a fresh start for him. You know, fulfill those New Year's resolutions. But for now, we are going to get ready into champion selection. Splice and the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, New Year's resolution for Diamond Prox: gank his lane, get a kill, and then everybody's happy. Splice, on the other hand, just a lot of question marks. Honestly, this is a team with the most amount of possible variance. They can go up, they can go down, depending on how the coaching works. How efficient is Yamato as a coach? Right now, he has a lot to prove. He gets a fresh roster, no playstyle embedded into it in LCS right now, not much experience. He can mold that to the perfect little Yamato squad, so we need to see if that works.
A lot of little Yamato cans running around. I'm not sure how I feel about that one, but
they all have the same voice.
Then,
voice.
you know what? Maybe we can get a quartet or a sextet going, if you will. We've got a lot of bans going very, very quickly. Trundle's off the board. Kindred, of course, we expect the permaban. The Shen's taken away. GP, Lulu, Lissandra, all standard stuff so far, but that does leave the Rise open, and it is instantly picked up on Splice.
Yeah, very little surprises so far. Tom Kench being hovered. We saw it in the LCK. Duke played it already. We saw it earlier today, too, on Kikis. Just gets incredibly tanky. Really hard to take down, and once you're almost there, he pops that great health for another shield.
True. And it is still a very flexible pick. Of course, we could also see Chachi going back to his old favorite, newly changed champion. I really want to see him play top Poppy. Please do it. But if these two picks go through, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, probably not, because Alistar is technically a flex top laner. Tom Kench is a flex top laner support. Tom Kench's jungle technically exists, so don't give up just yet.
All right.
Still hope.
There is hope.
There is.
I like what I'm hearing.
A sliver of hope right there. But yeah, Alistar probably going to heal sign because he was a good Alistar player overall. Just a strong support right now, especially if Trundle's out, which is one of the better laners into Ali. I like to pick up double tank already. And that opens up for Diamond Prox to potentially play as Nidalee, which was a fantastic champion for him.
It's true. It was mostly in the spring, but he played it to great effect. He had a good early game on it, and then he built it late game with the Rod of Ages. We've got a Poppy locked in, though, on the side of Splice, so Unicorns won't have a chance for that one.
Yeah, at least you got your Poppy.
Yeah, it's still Poppy. I'm happy. And do we expect this to go in the support? I mean, we've got the Rise still flex pick. Poppy can, of course, go 3 roles. Nothing really is revealed except Lucian here.
I mean, likely, I don't think it lanes well into Tom Kench top at all. It doesn't like Poppy is all about burst. So in top lane, what you want to do is pop your W, walk next to the guy, and be like, if you don't run away right now, I will ram you into that wall. That's not going to happen against Tom Kench. He will just end up eating you. So definitely Poppy support here, combined with the Lucian, the strongest AD carry on this patch. Kalista, again, is blocked right now. Poppy support blocks the choice of Kalista unless you can really work around that W. So likely going to see something like Ezreal, maybe Corki come out.
Don't do the Kalista. There we go.
Do it. I think you can outplay if you can send the message. I like Kalista, but it's so hard to play.
We haven't seen Steelback in EU since pretty much since MSI. He did play in North America for a little bit, but this is kind of his second chance, if you will, to show himself on the stage. He had a rough time at MSI, but admittedly that was against some of the world's best AD carries. So
yeah, he showed some progression with Fnatic as a cleanup AD carry. He got a lot of flack then because at MSI he was clearly outclassed. Then went to NA Challenger, which is slightly below the level of MSI, and did well there. Now it's redemption time in EU. Gravity Chamber goes up a little bit again, you know, a little harder.
It turns it back up.
See how he performs.
Diamond Prox has got himself a fairly standard jungler in that Elise pickup, so we're not going to see any Nidalee shenanigans today. It's not from him.
So, fun interaction, since you like your Poppy. Elise's Q is technically a gap closer, so it gets cancelled by Poppy W.
Yes.
As opposed to the Ezreal Arcane Shift, which is a blink. Poppy concept that's why Steelback went for that pick into the Poppy support.
All right. The real question now, if they do end up blocking the Rek'Sai, is where is their last pick going? Do they take the Rise for Wonderwear or for Senkux? And it looks like, ooh, the Varus. We haven't really thought about that too much, but it has been played in a lot of poke compositions, and I'm not really sure where it fits in here when they've got
Yamato
somebody wants to run at them.
It's like, Senkux, I know you want to outplay people, but you're on my team now. You're going to play that poke champion, control mage in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Listen to your coach, boy. And yeah, Varus locked in.
So that's done. They've got their full composition lined up. We see where those are going. And now the last thing to see is where does Fox go? Does he take this very safe Orianna pick? He still will have a lot of trouble with the poke. Or does he go for something that can also answer back? Maybe he takes the Ezreal and they decide to shuffle their AD carry.
I think Ezreal mid is dead and gone. Hopefully, not the biggest fan of that pick. I would like to see something more aggressive. Unicorns of Love have a good tanky front line. If they get behind, though, the Orianna Ezreal will be lacking in damage, I feel. But they actually have the makings for a good pick comp if they go for some hyper-aggressive mid laner here. Like LeBlanc or potentially Ari.
Yeah, possibility. But still,
dream's alive.
Telling you it can happen. I don't make accurate predictions often, Crepo, but when they do happen,
they're very accurate.
100% of the time.
100%.
Ah, it's a Zed. Okay.
See, I like it. I like it. More action, more excitement.
There we go. We get an assassin locked in.
Into a non-gap closing AD carry in the mid lane. Combine that with Elise, who can repel into the lane. Flash Cocoon. So many plays to be made. So it will be hard for Trashy to keep Senkix alive, and Senkix will have to play at maximum range.
Yeah, but you know, not for nothing. A lot of people are looking at this guy as the next great EU mid laner, but he's going to have to prove himself on the LCS stage. So far, he's only been showing it off in Challenger, but you know, they did manage to have a very, very successful run in that Challenger Series to get here.
Yeah, and back to the bot lane, cool interaction too is that usually when you see a melee support engage, the response from an Alistar will be to knock away the AD carry, wait for them to walk back, and then knock both of them up with Pulverize. However, if Poppy positions well with W, Alistar's W in turn gets cancelled, also a gap closer. So you can really screw up the Alistar combos, so we need to see if Hylissang can opt around that or start roaming.
Yeah, well, Hilly is definitely going to be someone who has to put a lot of things on his back because we talked about how great of a player he was on Unicorns, but he was a bit inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
And he now has to really step it up and play at his all 100% of the time as the coaches, Sheepy and Yamato Cannon, experienced all, will walk off the stage together and hope their team takes it out. Now, why don't you at home tell us what you think? Tweet your predictions and prophecy at LOL Esports, hashtag SPY win or UOL win if you think Splice or Unicorns are going to take this one home.
And yeah, if you're used to Fox being a very passive player later in summer and you didn't really see anything of him, he was 5-0 in the spring split on Zed overall, so he definitely can play that champion. That was obviously when SK was doing incredibly well, so take it with a pinch of salt, but we could see some action, and that is why Senkux is running with the exhaust, because he's scared of the assassination.
Scared or not, they're going to have to face off. The team spawn up onto the rift. We'll have to see who takes this one home. The newcomer Splice are the old boys at this point, Unicorns of Love, with some new faces on their side.
Yep, redemption around Diamond Prox. Can he do it? Can he perform on this Elise?
You never thought you'd hear the phrase Diamond Prox is a big question mark, but he really is, just because he's had such a binary year.
A lot of people gave him times. Like a start, you know, it's just a slip up. It's still Diamond Prox, the best jungler in the world, but
no more
honestly,
excuses.
the last 2 years, he's left a lot to be desired. Starts with the Hunter's Talisman. Steals health. Not the standard machete that we usually see. I've seen Elisa start both.
We'll have to see how they decide to start the lanes off. But, you know, talking about this Splice team, too, obviously newcomers into the LCS, as we just said, but they only made the one change. They kept it all Danish. They're the only national squad in the LCS. We know that they have, you know, this camaraderie amongst themselves, and we know that with Yamato at the helm, experienced coach that he now is, he should be able to bring them together and like Pulse was saying, kind of mold them the way that he wants.
Yep.
But the question remains, like, how long have they been working with him? How long are they going to have that cohesion? And now that he's out, his voice is out of the game for the time being, do they maybe fall back into some of the things that sunk them, taking longer times to win their games, fixating on dragons, which isn't really going to be a good idea in this meta?
Yeah, what do you do when those sultry bass tones disappear from your headphones? You suddenly have to think for yourself. But as with any team we see this week, we got to give him some time. You can't make immediate judgments. You just see a small amount of the bigger picture right now, and we need 2 or 3 weeks before we can honestly start judging these teams. Nisbet finds Hylissang. Hylissang did the perks together with Steelback. We are in a double lane swap scenario, so the lanes are normal but upside down. Kobe and Nisbet did not get a camp. See here a little interaction with the Poppy. Obviously, you can throw that shield out every so often and a little harass. Also counts as a melee attack, so you can get a rally proc from afar with that shield. Makes it very easy for Poppy to generate those relic stats.
The Australian lane situation. We'll have to see if Steelback can deal with Kabi and Nisbet. This is a very dangerous lane with the Lucian. With the Poppy Hill, he's going to have his work cut out for him. Or will he just sacrifice and go on a roaming spree as we thought he might? But Steelback, he needs to farm up. He's needing to get this tier early on. We saw what happened when Ezreal couldn't get an early tier earlier today.
Yeah, definitely won't be roaming too much because I think Steelback will just get straight up dove. Trashy gets spotted by a ward here, presumably placed by Diamond Prox earlier. So knowledge on the side of Unicorns of Love. They have the information right now because Diamond's in the dark.
Trashy will be able to clear out that Scuttle Crab early on. Pretty standard move. It was popularized by Rainover earlier on last year when quick jungle camps, clearing out the vision. Don't need to spend the ward early
Scuttle
on.
don't fight back.
It doesn't. It runs away though real fast sometimes, not always the way you want it. Chachi and Wonderwear should have pretty much just a happy slap fest for a little while, as Wonder's going to need some time for himself to also scale up. A lot of tiers this game.
Yeah, the risk in a Tom Kench matchup is that you allow him to get 2 stacks and then he keeps walking on you. And then the threat of the 3rd stack makes it impossible for you to trade back. So definitely want to avoid a Q auto effect there. So hide behind the minions is paramount for Wonderwear.
Diamond is a creeping crawling up to the top. Kabi and Nisbeth have already backed off a little bit here. I don't think he's going to be able to get much done.
No, he's in counter gank mode right now. He's hoping that Rek'Sai reveals himself across the tunnel because a pushing lane has a Raptor buff, knows he can spot wards. Spots that ward eventually, goes back to his jungle later on. So far nothing. We see some pressure from Fox in the mid lane. But that's a big way from Senkus. If he can get like half of this, he can actually even out the CS.
This is definitely a lane I want to keep my eye on this game. The Senkux takes a little bit extra damage from Fox's Shadow proc there. And
good pressure by Fox.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton of Zeds, and this is a good pick into a very immobile champion like Varus. Obviously, you could get locked up very quickly once he hits 6, the Chains of Corruption. Senkux is a very strong player, but this is Fox's chance to say, hey, I'm here, I am very relevant, and I can be a very strong carry-oriented mid laner. That's something the Unicorns really need on their squad.
Yeah, definitely winning matchup for Zed in the early game without any jungle interaction. Obviously, if he uses his Shadow to harass, that's when he opens himself up for ganks, but that's when Diamond Prox needs to be there to back Fox up.
Absolutely. Just continues to send it out. WE combo. Very deadly. Senkux won't get 100 to 0'd very easily, but Fox is just laughing it up right now. He's got the level advantage. He's got CS lead.
100 to 0, not yet. Once Zed hits level 6, that's when it gets dangerous. Prox now. Get behind Wonderwear.
Wonder has no idea this is coming. Has to know now. The tongue lash is out. The Spiderlings are on. Flashing forward. Vizichachi is looking to eat somebody, and he does manage to pick up first blood. Yeah. 5 minutes on the clock.
No flash from Wonderwear. Immediate reaction from Trashy pathing down, but look at Fox. He was ready to join that party. He was ready to counter gank. So really good movement, and that's because he was initially pushing mid lane. Senkux was pressured, so fantastic move. Maybe Wonderwear could have gotten out of it if he used Flash, but he chose to preserve it.
Still keeping fairly even with Chachi in the CS department right now. There isn't a lot of latent threat from the Tom Kench other than obviously getting those couple of stacks on you, but it changes the game when Diamond Prox is there, and he helps out secure that first blood. Trashy, meanwhile, will go on a jungle invade spree just to grab some vision, but he still doesn't know where Diamond Prox is.
Yeah, hey, that's what we were talking about. He spent so little time interacting with his laners. Right now, he probably spent more time within that 2,000 range, a unit range rather than he did in many of the games last summer.
Yeah, maybe he's learned his lesson. That's the big thing. So
maybe he has a better team, you know. Maybe it wasn't him.
Hey, you know, Gambit towards the end. It's funny, funny. Splice obviously purchasing, or rather, Vitality was purchasing that Gambit spot, and then all kind of went haywire after that. Diamond Prox managed to find this team, and they said they really were interested in picking him up. They really wanted him here as Nisbeth throws down his W. No defense there. Fox back in the bush. Uh-oh, there's a couple of stacks. Chachi wants to take another bite out of Wonder, but he won't be able to get it. Has to settle for a minion. Just a snack.
You saw it in top lane right there. The zone from Hylissang threatening the double combo. Nisbeth says, no, I have W. You can't combo.
Not this time. So, haven't seen that Poppy excellently used so far. Kabi and Nisbeth will take some damage from the headbutt pulse combo. Hylissang gets fire returned on him, but Steelback is nice and healthy, which means he can keep jumping forward as he pleases for the time being, just continuing her harass. But Diamond Prox is also here. Are they looking to set up a dive, Crepo?
Yeah, they're definitely looking to get something out of this. No, not really expected, so they need to push him in. Land some zones. Steelback low on mana though, and it's incredibly difficult to dive a Poppy. Remember, you can cancel the Elise Q in Spider form with Poppy W.
They know it's coming. Gotta be targeting the Kabi. Instantly heals. They look for Nisbeth now as they turn their attention. There goes the knock-up on the Poppy. Should be going down. Diamond Prox changes the direction of the tower aggro, but Hilly's gonna go down as well. Kabi has flashed, but he now is in trouble as he's outside the range of his tower. Steelback picks him up, and all of a sudden, Fox flips the switch. Gets exhausted, gets chained, but Senkux is low. Senkux is ignited. And now, no one will go down in the mid lane.
Yup, just exchange of ultimates, exchange of summoners, but Fox still has the pressure. Always pushing that mid lane, especially if he sees that the junglers were top.
2-for-1 summoner trade. Senkux had to burn both his flash and his exhaust very quickly on that one. And his ult, of course. Fox just used his Ignite, didn't get the kill, but he did return fire. That was a really nice arrow at the end of it that nailed Fox right down the middle, so he was able to make sure he couldn't jump back in on him as healthy as he could. Take a look at at this mid lane and just adjacent to it too. You can see Diamondprox and Hylissang hanging out here too. Really just clearing the wards out, making sure that Splice doesn't have any more information than they want to give him. A slight lead to Unicorns, thanks to that kill differential. The action in the top lanes really permitted that, but now you see the swap back. Yep. Chachi and Wonderwear both on the top side, everything else is normal again, and you know, we've turned the earth back right side up.
Everything is normal again. Steel back here in the bottom. Hylissang went for a little ward clear spree. Nisbeth got a ward of his own. Lane is a bit of an awkward position because there's enough distance for Tom Kens to chase the Ryze down, but Wonderwear may use that to his advantage to bait out Vizichachi here because Crashy is waiting in the wings.
Waiting in the wings indeed. You know, the thing about Rek'Sai, you can never really tell. She's going to be coming right out the bush at you since that ultimate has so much mobility available. Chachi takes a lot of damage, but he goes right back on in, and that's the bait. Can he get his gray health on? The knockup is there. He's got to pop it. He's just barely able to do it, and now they've got to back away. Man, if there was just a little bit more CC there, it would have been fish food.
Yeah, this is why this matchup's actually pretty strong, because Ryze is a champion that when he gets to you and he can chain CC you, he can burst you down, but there's so much health on Tom Kench already. Then he pops the gray health on top of that. It's impossible to burst him down, really.
Diamondprox definitely focusing on the 2v2 lane right here. He shows face with the ward and the try, had him covered, so Unicorns have 3 members on the bottom side just pushing. They did force him back, and that's a great move for them to continue this lead regardless. They've got themselves 1,500 ahead. Trashy's counter jungling, but that's a poor trade for a bottom tower.
Yeah, Trashy right now 0-0, no impact in the game, no threatening, just a couple counter ganks trying to be set up, whereas Diamondprox, we were critical of him in the opening of the game, and Alice Test was too, but fantastic early game so far from him.
Yeah, and he hasn't had too much pressure to deal with. And, you know, finishes the upgrade on his item. Now Fox could be some trouble. Trashy's looking to prove us wrong. The Chains of Corruption land. Suckucks and Trashy combo up perfectly, and Trashy secures the kill. Nisbet comes in, hoping to clean up, but it'll just be a few minions.
Yeah, and obviously right now, Runeglaive is no more. We have Runic Echoes, which is
the echo of Runeglaive.
The echo of Runeglaive, yeah.
It's Luden's echo for junglers, for those of you that don't know. So Diamondprox has gone the AP build. A little bit more damage, and that makes sense when you've got a tanky support and a tank top.
Yeah, builds up charges, then exploits them all, so look for more burst from Diamondprox.
Those of you in your solo games, just remember, to change his name. Yeah, he's able to secure that crab pretty quickly. It's only 10.5 minutes on the clock, too, and, you know, with that, Splicer's still down, still 1,500. The gold lead hasn't changed much there, but that could be a different story in a moment as Kabi's up solo. True Shot Barrage comes in, he's going to nail the Poppy. Not Kabi, but this tower's going down.
Yeah, pretty early actually to rotate the Zed to the top lane. I think this is more of a catch-up move. It's too early to put Fox split push duty already. Probably going to send Steelback back there already. You want both tier 1s down once you move a Zed to the side lane. You really want that distance.
That Raptor really didn't like Steelback. Killed all his friends, I can imagine. Senkux secures the blue with the help of Trashy. Goes back to the mid lane. We'll take stock of where we're at with the CSing right now, because Wonderwear has been held in check versus Chachi. Admittedly, there's been some help in the form of Diamondprox.
He's built up his core though.
But yeah.
Here and Catalyst finish, and that's honestly Ryze players generally happy with that. 1 def only up to 12 minutes, get the core items. Late game, absolute powerhouse. Remember, we have a tier being built on the Varus in mid by Senkux as well. Tier compositions are okay with being slightly down in the early game, or at least they used to be in summer. We'll have to see how it affects their mid game in this more rampant, like quicker paced games that we have right now.
We got a Rift Herald, Crepo. Diamondprox and Hylissang will combo up, and again, this is the Runic Echoes. He's got so much more damage on it, so they can take this one out. And because there's nobody in the area and they've secured vision, this isn't risky at all.
Yeah, and look at what Hylissang's doing. He positions behind the Rift Herald, where it's weaker. Every 3 seconds, the eye will open, you can clap it, and then it gives you 15%, I believe, of its max health and true damage. Makes it go down a lot quicker. So if you're struggling with a Rift Herald and solo queue, and you're 2 people, one of you go behind him, hit the eye. Otherwise, you may be there a while.
Clearly, Unicorns have been doing their homework. Kabi now with Nisbet pushing up, and they will find Vizichachi courtesy of Trashy. He's going to burn his flash super quickly. The culling comes out, but he can gray health his way, and he doesn't even need to pop it actively. Oh, no one saw that. They'll be taking out the tower.
They were like, Nisbeth, why didn't you flash Ian? He's like, my flash was down. No, it's not. Now it is. Just anger.
There it goes.
Straight out of solo queue to the LCS.
Meanwhile, Steelback's still able to do a little bit of work of his own, so they just keep trading back and forth. 2-2 on the tower objective. Senkux says, no, that's my jungle.
Actually, that's not what happened. Probably Nisbeth Oh, this happens so often as a support. He's like, I'm gonna be a nice support. I'm gonna time the top laner's flash. So you enter your chat, you press F, and then you put the timer. If you forget to press the chat, yep, that's when you flash. So be careful with your timers. That's painful.
Comes the catch. Chachi, Hilly, and Fox are all on the mid side. It looks like they're looking to get a party started. On the side of Splice, they are bringing 4 members to that party, so there's a slight number advantage, and that means Unicorns will not try to push this wave for the time being. Sunkux has actually been fairly impressive on this Varus. Apart from the big all-in that Fox almost was able to nail him on, which he did outplay admittedly, he's done a really good job of nailing him when comboed with Trashy the one time he came to the mid lane. He's been able to stay safe against, as we talked about, a losing matchup. He's also amassed a CS lead. It's about 10, but still, that's impressive.
No, Sankix did fine, obviously, and he's only scaling to this game. Wonderware is still scaling to the game. There's only a 2,000 gold lead, which he's been there pretty much the entire time for the Unicorns. So they need to look to expand this or for some map openings right now. Thrashy under pressure here by Diamond Fox with the Rift Herald buff. Not much going down. Can they stop Fox here in the side lanes? That's what we need to look for.
That's
you have
the
a
question.
long lane. Both tier 1s are down. A lot of wiggle room for that Zed.
We got to think who you can send against him at this point. Wonderware, maybe, but Senkux and Kabi, I don't think are going to work solo-wise in that long lane, and now you see Diamond Proc starting up this Drake.
Yeah, Wonderware definitely wants to keep the wave close to his power. Don't overextend for the Zed. That means Fox obviously has the opportunity to go mid. So we need to see how well Splice can wave clear in uneven numbers. Once Fox does go to mid lane, threatens the flank, can Wonderware keep that wave close, or does he have to push out? That's when the risk kicks in.
For Splice's side too, you know, we've seen them change a little bit over the time, not just obviously changing their jungler, obvious, out for Trashy, but when they were in Challenger Series, this was a team that was very fixated on dragon control, on making the late game. It was a different meta back then, but Unicorns were the ones who secured that first dragon. They also got that Rift Herald. Splice are playing much more lane-oriented at this point, and trying to get themselves up to a power spike where they can then start forcing fights. You can see Nisbeth roaming around pretty much everywhere. Steelback will get locked up. He does manage to E away, takes another shot from the arrow. Hillisang was in the background.
That was a reaction play because Splice, they want to make some aggression in the lanes because Unicorns of Love right now are warding up the enemy jungle. 2 deep wards placed here already to really facilitate that split push for Fox. That's in lock. That's in motion right now. So right now, they're going to try and siege mid, force the Unicorns of Love to go back into vision so they can't make any picks with that Zed.
Speaking of Zed, he's going to walk right on the ward, or not really.
Yeah.
As he dodges it at the last second. He's still pinged. They know exactly where he is. Splice are not keen to give him an opportunity to open up on other AD carries. But he might be going for the rise. Instantly goes on in. Wonderware flashes it away from most of the damage. Still gets procced on the death mark, but stays alive.
Yeah, and you see it right here. The waves really far away from the tower. Wonderware had no business pathing that way. Slight mistake here. Good reaction from Splice, opening up the chains of corruption to really force Unicorns of Love to reveal themselves, but then in pathing back to bottom. A little misplay there by Wonderware cost his flash.
And comparing these two junglers, we talked about it earlier on in the game. Trashy definitely didn't have as much of an early impact as Diamond Procs, but he has been in the right place at the right time for Senkux and to defend the lanes. As Hillisang gets knocked up against the wall, he goes in, gets a headbutt pulled, and they turn it around. Steelback with a massive combo. Hilly gets knocked by the hammer. No one goes down there, but man, it was close, and Splice looked like they bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah, good reaction by Hillisang. Poppy W came very late after the fact, so that combo should have technically been cancelled right there. And you see the power of Alistair Ezreal, 3-man combo, 3-man ulti. Yeah, pushed toward it.
You can see Sheepy smiling about that one. It looked like a bad moment for a sec, but they answered right on back. And Hill and Steelback definitely are showing some synergy there, and it's nice to see that AD carry support combination working out from the get-go.
Yep, definitely strong laning phase. Did better than Kabi and Nisbeth did.
Yeah, on an Ezreal too versus Illusion.
Yep. Nisbeth and Kabi though, new to the LCS, took them some time to get used to playing.
Nisbeth had a little experience.
Yep.
But yeah, not a whole lot.
As a duo, new to the LCS.
Yes.
True, so that Nisbeth has a little bit of experience.
Dodge it out. Some fancy feet once again. Diamond Procs has been trying to live in this jungle for the last 10 minutes or so. He'll back away, doesn't want to pick a fight with Trashy. But the Unicorns right now, for them, you know, they're 2K in the lead. They've got some later game power spikes in the form of the Ezreal, and they've got a Zed who's fairly powerful right now. What can they do with it, Crepo?
Yeah, good map move here. They push top, so they force someone to react. That means the rest of the map has been being played by 4 players. They force the wave clear's flash in the mid lane. Fox is alone in the bot lane right now. Wonderware will likely have to react with a teleport soon, or they're going to at least chip away some tower damage in the bot lane.
exactly that. 4 members. Still damage from the piercing arrow, but Unicorns hiding behind their own wave of minions should be able to do some damage on that one. The True Shot Barrage comes in. Extra damage proc after the fact. Zed still sends the minion wave down to the bottom side. Fox is thinking about continuing to push this, but he knows that since it's evaporated, Wonderwear is going to be there in a minute. See if he can catch him off guard. I don't think he fancies a dive, though, at this point.
No, he doesn't want to dive the Rise. He wants to push up the wave and threaten the dive in the mid lane right now. If he can target Senku, take him out, maybe even 1-for-1, a lot of the wave clear disappears. Alternatively, the Kench can get Wonderwear.
And they brought Hylissang to the party. Instantly, 3 members on the rise, shut him down. 0-2. Wonder is not looking too worse for wear. Or I guess he is, actually.
Yeah.
I need to learn my phrases better. Tower's going to get taken down. So Unicorns make a power move here, and they send 3 to the bottom.
That was honestly a fantastic play. Vizichachi carrying Hylissang to the bottom, and that all started with that push in the top lane. Look what Chachi did. He pushes top, forces Wonder to react, then he goes mid, forces Senku to splash, then uses his ultimate to get down in the bot lane, carry over to support. Fantastic map play here from Chachi as a whole.
Yeah, it's an LCS veteran experience. Chachi's bringing, Hylissang's bringing. Speaking of Hilly, he knocks Senkux, but Nisbeth knocks him, and now he's up against the wall. Could go down here. Chains of Corruption. Nisbeth throws the W. The True Shot does not land. Coling comes out. Unicorns are going to have to bail out, but they should be able to secure the tower, and they do.
So if you're wondering what happened there, Hylissang wanted to space out his combo. Basically knock somebody in the wall, wait. Once they start moving, pulverize again. Works if they don't have flash. They just did it at the wrong spot, knocked him straight over. He wasn't trying to do the WQ combo. He was trying to space out his combination by knocking to the wall first. But yeah, wasn't really aware of the exact position. Straight up threw him over there.
Best pros can make mistakes at times. Still, they got out without any casualties. They got the tower. They continue to grow their lead, albeit slowly. It's about 4,000 lead. Baron's going to be an option in the next half a minute, but it will be a while before either of these teams are confident enough to take it. Meanwhile, Dragon is coming up at about the same rate. So, we've already seen Unicorns take a Dragon, for the most part, uncontested, but they don't have the same map control they did a moment ago. Splice is moving up to the top side, trying to see if they can catch Fox out, but he's already spotted that, and he's going to be getting out of dodge.
Still a big wave, though. They could opt to
Or
stick
not.
there, takes the red buff. I like this move. Getting the vision in this jungle is paramount. They have to escape to the top lane, though. Fox used Shadow. He's
going to have to go in on Trashy here. He's got nowhere to go, but they don't have enough damage. The chains are on. Now they finish him off. Double teleports. Chachi comes in anyways. They're bringing Hilly to the party. He eats Senkux, spits him out under tower. Should be enough to take him down, and the Unicorns fire back on all cylinders. They're low, though. How long can they keep this fight up? Not before they take down Wonderwear. Fantastic. And Kabi, Steelback, tanking the damage. It's a double kill for the Ezreal. Nisbet's caught. Diamond Prox has enough to take him down. Triple kill for Steelback. Chachi gets to eat. Can he pick the Quadra? No, it's stolen by the Kench. And an ace for the Unicorns.
ace for the Unicorns. Fox uses Shadow, but baits in the entire Splice roster. And honestly, that Steelback did fantastic in that fight. Still has heal available. Baron goes down, and this is looking grim for Splice right now.
All of a sudden, Unicorns thunder ahead in this game. 21 minutes just about on the clock. They will secure the Baron with nothing to contest them, and let's see how that all started again.
Yeah, they're setting up for a siege in top lane. Fox knows they're coming, so tries to desperately clear the wave. But he forces at least a lot of summoner spells, and especially this Varus ultimate can't be used in the fight to spread around. And now Senkux is stuck in the minions, gets eaten by Vizichachi, helps his Grey health. Hylissang is peeling, and just keep your eyes on Steelbacks right now. He's getting uncontested damage in the entire fight right here. And yeah, Hylissang and Chachi just tanking up so much damage. So tanky overall. Steelback gets to clear the fight. Vizichachi comes in from the back, and then it's straight up cleanup. So this fight definitely spells a lot towards the victory for the Unicorns.
Yeah, you said at the beginning of that one, used so much to take out the Zed.
Yep.
Yeah, they got him. But then all of a sudden the rest of the Unicorns were there, stampeded right over him. Steelback made a huge statement. Backed up by his team, but he picks up the triple kill on that. They grab the Baron. You can see, you saw in the smaller window just a moment ago that Diamond Prox is able to secure another Dragon off the back of it, and Unicorns are just in a massive lead right now.
Yeah, and just as in Giants versus H2K, we see the same where Unicorns can continue taking pages out of the same playbook, and a lot easier by using the Baron buff. Right now, Fox can split push on a lane. Again, as Missile Voyage bringing people in, the zone comes out, easy tower. Fox can threaten the Rise, and Rise can no longer just focus on wave clearing because of the improved minions right here. So that's one lane that's already under pressure. You have the 4-man group with the poke from the blue build Ezreal that's pressuring another lane. So Splice incredibly rough. No answers really.
Yeah. This is where the experience comes into play, but the Unicorns, a lot of questions surrounded them coming into this split. And again, it is against a team that is very new, inexperienced on this stage, but they've shown already that they can function as a team, and they know where their power is. Right now, looking to siege on the second tier turret in the middle. Yamato contemplates this game in the back. It's a rough start for him, but there's still time for Splyce to turn this around.
Yeah, the only saving grace is that Senkuk's wave clear is physical damage, so the minion buff from Baron doesn't really reduce that too much. Or at all, really. But the problem is he's just not clearing the waves with one shot. Another big poke here from Steelback. Look at this zone. Chachi can freely walk up and they can't answer because just like we saw with Zed, if they spend all their abilities on killing Visit Chachi, the fight will be cleaned up by the remaining 4 Unicorns of Love members.
Yeah. They just really don't have any answers to this 4-1 that are coming out. They can't really even deal with the 4 members, even if they bring everyone to the party. Inhibitor turret's going down easily. They just keep chunking them out with the poke.
Then they back off again. They wait for Fox to either join the party or make his own little party in the bot lane. It looks like they do like safety in numbers. Fox comes in. They can brute force this inhibitor. They can also send Fox back. They can also shop. They likely have a lot of gold available right now.
Yeah, they've got such a safe way to deal with the engage too. The double QSSs on their side. You take a look at the gold that's split across all those members. In every role, it's just a big differential. About 2,000, 1.5 at the very least. Everyone on Unicorns, pound for pound, is ahead of Splyce.
Yeah, I mean, the gold differential is about 10k. That's the amount of money that Unicorns of Love has available for shopping right now. So if they just back off, they put themselves even farther ahead. And even without having spent that gold, you can just see the ease with which they can siege and push and basically finish their very predictable strategy at this point in the game. Something we actually kind of blamed Unicorns for in last season, that they didn't really have any strategies. They had no growth to their strategy.
Chaos style.
They were very wonky. Yeah. Chaos at one point, just bad League Legends at one other point. But they seemed to come in with a distinct plan. They had a strong early game jungle in Diamond Procs, and they really understood the limits of their siege.
Well, and everybody did the job too. You know, Diamond Procs, again, we were very harsh on him since he hasn't really delivered to where we know he had been able to in the past for a long time now. This isn't, you know, super carry crazy Diamond Procs, but he's a 1-0-3 Elise. He did the job he needed to. The AP damage he was bringing to the team was invaluable in those early objective clears, and they've been able to bring their other members up to speed because of it.
Yeah, I would even call it super carry Diamond Procs. He influenced every single lane, almost, maybe not so much mid lane, and the entire map in the early game. He grouped up with Hylissang, something we didn't really see from Edward, Ghostly Pepper last season, Edward now again, I believe. With Diamond Procs in terms of jungle support synergy, and Hylissang and Diamond Procs have already developed that warding together style, impacting the map. So far, good progression from the Unicorns.
Yeah, and they managed to make some good use out of that Baron, as you can see. That's the way they've extended the gold lead. The Baron power play, about 4,000 ahead of where they were before taking that, and that was all off the back of that big fight in the favor of Steel back up in the top, and you can see how much he's starting to sting. Senkuk's a bite out of his health bar just from one true shot.
Just some context on that number, the average Baron power play in summer for Barons that didn't end up finishing the game was around 3,000, so significantly improvement, 50% increase here. Nisbek goes in for the stun on Hylissang though, but
Tryon gets the knockup. Chachi's gonna flash, they turn onto Wonderwear, and he just melts after the fact. Diamond Procs will get the kill credit. Chains are on to Chachi, but it doesn't matter. Unicorns want to end this right here, right now. No more of this messing around, they say. 2 members down. Look to start finishing off inhibitors. Get some more waves up in the top side. In the bottom side, they can try to end this game right here, right now. Hylissang's just going to go straight on in. Might have gone a little too far forward, but he gets eaten by Chachi rather, and Trashy should go down any minute. There he goes, Steel back with another kill on the board, and they don't need to worry about inhibs now, Crepo. Taking down one Nexus turret, a second one. The Unicorns of Love, you might have thought they were in trouble, but they take the first win. And they did it well.
And this is something we've seen multiple times today. Relatively low amount of kills. I mean, right now we had 15 kills in about 27 minutes, but
clean game.
Just so quick. These teams, they're ready to pull the trigger. Once they get a small lead, it becomes bigger. They start rotating around the map with really good sieges. Baron buff end. Like straight off the bat.
Well, they know, you have to try and push your lead, otherwise the game starts pushing back against you. That's one of those changes that was made in the preseason. Knowing that these players don't sit back and they don't rest on their laurels. Gone are the days of sit back and farm until 40.
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen anymore. And the Unicorns of Love,
beautiful days.
They were lovely. I didn't want to bring up CLGEU, but anyways, it always happens one way or another. Splice, though, question marks for them.
I mean, it's too early to fill in the answers for Splice here. They went with a composition that was very slow scaling. A double tier on your top lane damager, on your mid lane damager, and then a very skirmish heavy bot lane that did not get the assistance that they needed from the jungler. Diamondprox shut that aggressive. So Diamondprox, he shut down the one aggressive part on Splice. So first he snowballed Vizicachi in the bot lane, made sure he was winning that matchup even harder. Then he went top and he shut down Kabe and Nisbeth even more. Made sure that Steelback and Hylissang were winning, and at that point there was no more forward aggression left because you had 2 tier scalers and a losing duo bot lane, and at that point Unicorns of Love realized that, went in for deep vision, started sieging. They executed a very good macro strategy, something we are not used to seeing from the Unicorns of Love.
It's a new day. It's new Unicorns, and they managed to prove that there. And you could see with Diamondprox a very quintessential part of what they were able to accomplish. And now we know why he favored picking this team. He said he had a lot of options in the offseason. A lot of teams definitely wanted him, maybe not just on name recognition alone. Clearly, the Unicorns, well, it's not the Powerball, but they definitely won out that time.
Too early to make bold statements, though. We'll have to see how it progresses overall. And where the growth is, that is one thing that I was very critical of Unicorns last season. They played a style, and they managed to finish top 3, top 4, top 2 even in spring, but then there was no growth.
They got found out.
Yeah, they got found out, and they did not evolve. And as we've seen in League of Legends history, once that happens, if you can't adapt between metas, between splits, within the split, you will eventually start going down a hill and end up fighting for relegation.
Yeah, but it's encouraging that we see a different style. They aren't just trying to go crazy. I mean, those big, loud voices that were doing these crazy things have either been tampered or they are tempered, but they've gone completely Kickus. You know, he was famous for picking a lot of all sorts of crazy things. His signature Shaco in the jungle, that's obviously gone as he's moved on the top lane on Gamers too. But, you know, it's a new day, new Unicorns, and for now, we're going to send it side stage once again to Pulse for a word with UOL's man roaming the jungle.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Diamondprox of the Unicorns of Love, and first off, to start this one off, that was a very impressive win. We saw a lot of good macro strategy from you guys. Who's leading the shot calling on your team?
We were just doing what we know. Like, everyone was doing what we practiced, and everyone communicated everything, so we didn't need a shot caller for this game. The only thing we lacked is that we lost the top tier 1 for free. That's what we should have worked on better. But overall, we just communicated well and we knew what to do. That's why, like, no shot caller was needed for this game.
Right, you just had the game plan coming into the game. Well, you can now come onto the Unicorns of Love, and it was a very interesting choice. Can you talk me through why you chose the Unicorns of Love to join?
Basically because when I was playing like previous split of LCS, I was like seeing that Vizicachi and Hylissang are doing super good, and I was looking up to them on their roles. Like, I thought they were like really smart and really good mechanically, especially Hylissang. And after I got like kind of an offer from Unicorns of Love, I see there are only those 2 players left, and the new ones, which I really respect, are coming too. So I basically liked the roster very much. So I joined them, and I think we have good chances of success, and I really like the team atmosphere here.
Oh, that's very cool to hear. A lot of respect coming from you as well, Diamondprox. And you touched on it briefly at the end there, but what are your goals for the split? How well do you think this team is going to do, and what do you personally want to achieve this split in spring?
I don't know. I just want to play good. That's all.
You just want to play good. Well, it started off well, Diamondprox. Thank you very much for the interview. We're going to send it over to the analyst to take a look at the game.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. And indeed, it's a question we asked before getting into the game. That legacy player in Diamond, what can he do with a different configuration? And he answered himself. I have a lot of respect for Hylissang and Chachi, and it is in the top and the bottom lane that the first things, got rolling, as my pen did.
Yeah, if we look very quickly at the pick and ban phase, because that's very important to set up how that early game played out. Basically, what happens here for Splice is they see the first 4 picks for Unicorns of Love. And they see Tahm Kench, Alistar, Elise, Ezreal. Okay, so there's no real engage other than Tahm Kench ulti coming into backline, fairly predictable to play around. There's no real wave clear either.
Yep.
That's to say, are you okay?
Sorry, go ahead.
There's no wave clear either. So Splice goes, who's our mid laner? Oh, Varus. Poke against no wave clear, against low engage. The problem is, you already have a weaker jungle matchup in Rek'Sai into Elise in the early game, and now you give a counter pick to Unicorns of Love. So they take Zed, winning matchup in mid, so that combo of Zed and Elise together gives you full map control if you are the Unicorns of Love. And again, you're also playing against double tier. There's so little you can do in the early game if you're Splice.
It played right into Fox's hands. When I was researching the differences between Fox and Power, I'm just like, ooh, Fox played like 8 games of Zed last season. Zed wasn't played in Summer. So, I mean, Varus, not a great matchup for that, but we were talking a little bit about what could they have gone for that was a safe pick. And, you know, there was the likes of the Victor, you know, all these options. We were talking about the Ahri that we've seen a couple of times today, and I find it an interesting point. We were talking about the coaching style of Yamato. I've been sat here next to Yamato sometimes, and he's like, I'm not a big Ahri fan. I don't really think it fits. We were seeing Ryu do really well on it in playoffs, and just for some reason, Yamato previously didn't like Ahri. I wonder whether that still plays into it, but nevertheless, in this game, there was just so much that happened before an Ahri even would have got into it. You look at Diamond Prox's early game in the jungle, just how this game started was just insane for the Unicorns.
Basically, you're looking at pressure in the lane more than anything, but again, Diamond, he has a stronger early matchup. He has a great lane to gank. A Tahm Kench lane is so easy to gank. He has perma-slow. He can get obviously the Devour. And then now, because there's so much map control for Unicorns, and because Kobe and Nisbet are currently losing the lane, they've just lost a big trade so they can push down to south. This should not happen for Lucian. That sets up Diamond to then go dive up top side. He knows there's no response from the mid lane because look at Zed here, had already jumped him, and now once again controlling mid. It does give a kill to Splice, but this was about the only highlight of the game for this team.
It really was, but here was the highlight for Unicorns. This play in the bottom lane. Deficio, I know you loved this play.
Well, the thing is, I wanted to see this even earlier, but yes, this is how you play the composition for Unicorns of Love. You have a 1-3-1 with Tahm Kench TP. That's the weaker lane. That's not the lane you want to gank. Instead, you have the Zed. You know he has the pressure. You want to play around him because he doesn't have teleport, so you want to stay near him. And you know he's going to push it down to tower, and you just go for the dive. Alistar, Elise, Tahm Kench, all perfect divers. That's like a free kill every time.
So good. I mean, that's the Tahm Kench Alistar first rotation out of Unicorns. That's exactly what that's meant to do at that point. And that wasn't the end of it for the Unicorns. They kind of took that and went, oh, we have a lead. Let's just snowball this. The ace that they got in the top side jungle. Just this fight from the Unicorns just completely summed up the game.
Sealing the deal.
Yeah, obviously engage from Nisbet, no shadow, so they do think they can create a pick, but it doesn't go fast enough. And they end up investing so much, and then we have the minions here basically making almost impossible to escape, and once Sengox is pulled in by the Tahm Kench, it's almost game over there because now the damage is gonna lag after everything was invested, and Splice are already fairly low, and Steelback can start cleaning up, which he did really, really well on this Ezreal pick. That's really a pick that fits him.
Yeah, 5-0-4 ending from Steelbat. Of course, another person that we had some question marks around coming from his split in NA back to the EU LCS after previously having played on Fnatic, of course. So good first impression.
And I think that first impression, again, as I would say, was very good from Steelback. I think one of the things that's almost plagued Steelback in the last year is his last impression from MSI. I think his split in general with Fnatic through spring was decent, but MSI seemed to be a stumbling block. Looks to be back on form in the first game now of the season.
Yeah, very good victory for the Unicorns of Love. For Splice, not a victory yet. There are 2 teams left to make their spring split debut and also look for a victory, Vitality and Roccat. Before we go, we'll hear what Nukeduck thinks about his former team.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to play against Roccat. I'm still good friends with the people there. I met them when we were practicing. And I think Roccat is a fairly underrated team compared to the common consensus of them. I think they're pretty strong, and when we played against them, they were pretty smart. So I'm looking forward to play against them. I think it will be a good match.